Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. It has been a while, but I'm really excited to get back into some Christmas DIYs today. I found these cute little bells at Dollar Tree either last summer or the summer before. This was around the beach themes that they always have, but I've been holding on to these so that I could make some Christmas bells. I am going to add some little Christmas tree molds to these bells. This mold is from Amazon, and I'm just using some of my Sculpey air dry clay. So of course, I'm going to make two of these, one for each bell, and then once I have both of these made, I'm going to use a little bit of gel super glue to attach these to the fronts of my bells. Again, pretty much like I always do with my air dry clay, I'll let this set overnight so that the clay can harden and the glue can dry. Once everything was dry and the clay was hard, then I want to make these look like brass Christmas bells. So the first thing I am going to do is paint these with 2 coats of some black chalk paint. Then to finish them off, I'm using some of my European Gold Rub and Buff and a big fluffy brush and going over both of these. For this project, I'm going to be making a very simple Christmas tree using an old candlestick that I just removed the top little candle cup from. And this will be the Christmas tree base. For the actual Christmas tree, I'm going to be using one of these little styrofoam cones from Dollar Tree. And as you can see, the first thing I did was just slide the styrofoam cone down onto that candlestick. For the branches, I'm going to be using some of these little pine stems. These are very inexpensive on Amazon. I have them linked in my storefront, but you get a whole bunch of them, which makes it easy to make these little trees. The pick part of these is a little long for the styrofoam cone, so you can either cut these down or bend them. I did a combination of both. I cut them down a little bit, some of them more than others, but others I could just bend in half. I started by figuring out how long I wanted my Christmas tree to be. I did want the base to show a little bit, so that's how I started my first row. And I just pushed those pins right into the styrofoam. For the next row, I'm going to move up the cone and put these at the very top so that they cover a lot of the cone that's showing at the bottom. And again, just working my way around the cone and filling in all of the empty spots. Now for the very top portion of my Christmas tree, I'm going to cut off the ends of these stems completely. And that bottom portion of the stem is actually going to be the very top of the tree. As you can see, it goes up above the cone. Now, the way I'm going to attach these is by using the little wire pieces that I cut off from here. So I'll take those little pieces and wrap them around the stem and squeeze them so that it holds it, and then just push them right into that cone. If there's any areas that you need to fill in, you always can, but to finish this off, I'm just adding a pretty red ribbon. For this project, I'm just using this little wood oval plaque that I got from the thrift store and this cute little Santa Claus mold that I got off of Amazon. Now, technically, this is a resin mold, but I'm going to be using some air dry clay in here. Now, resin molds are not as firm as clay molds, so what I'm going to do first is roll out a little bit of my air dry clay, just big enough that it covers the mold. And as you can see, once I had it rolled out, I did leave it kind of thick because this is a deeper mold. But then I'm going to take my air dry clay, place it over top of my mold, and then gently start pressing this down into there. At this point, if you have a lot of extra around the sides, you can just kind of fold those in to your mold and just make sure that you are getting it all down in there. You can worry about taking off the excess later. The main thing you want to focus on right now is making sure that all of your edges are down inside of that mold. Then I'm going to use my fingers and just kind of scrape off a lot of the excess clay. And before I remove it from the mold, I am going to carefully and gently roll over this with my rolling pin just to make sure, because like I said, this is a really flimsier kind of mold since it's really for resin. So I wanted to make sure that I was getting all of the impressions on the clay. Then I'm going to flip this mold over and kind of press on it a little bit, even roll over it one more time. And this makes it so much easier for this mold to release the air dry clay. Then I'll use my finger and just go around all the edges to make sure they are nice and clean. I'm going to lay this on top of my wood plaque, get it centered, make sure I have it exactly where I want it. And then I'm going to use a little bit of wood glue. I'm going to very carefully pull up half of this mold and then put the wood glue on the back side of here. Then just kind of roll it back out onto the plaque. And to glue down the other side, I'm going to do the exact same thing. Once I have it all glued down, then I will set this aside and let that wood glue dry overnight. The next day, once the wood glue was dry and the clay had hardened, I'm going to paint over this entire thing with 2 coats of some black chalk paint. And before you move on to the next step, just make sure that that paint is completely dry. And to finish this off, I am going to use some European Gold Rub and Buff with a really fluffy paintbrush. This is just a Dollar Tree paintbrush, and I'm going to go over this entire thing to make it look like a bronze plaque. For this project, I'm just going to use a frame that I already had. This one is just one that I picked up from a thrift store. I'll also be using these wood tags. I got these from Amazon last year to make some tags for our stockings, and I just happened to have a bunch left over that I thought would be perfect to do a little art project. Now, as you may have noticed, my thrifted frame did not have a backing, so I needed to make one for this. Now, you could use pretty much anything to make your own backing if you find a frame that you really like. I had these little thin basswood sheets on hand that I got from Amazon, and then this fabric right here is from Walmart. It was actually just a few dollars, and it's this really pretty script or book page print. But I'm going to take this outside and spray my basswood sheet with a little bit of Gorilla Spray adhesive and then just attach my fabric. So this is what it looked like once I brought this back inside, and now I just have to cut some of those edges off because I did leave this just a little bigger than it needed to be so I could make sure that I got it lined up nice and straight. So once I have that cut down, then I will just pop this in my frame and set this to the side for now. Moving back to those Christmas tags that I had, I did want to paint these white, but I kind of wanted some of that wood grain to still show through. So what I did for these was took them outside and just gave them a really light coat of some white spray paint. To decorate my tags, I am going to be using some of these Christmas rub-on transfers that I got from Amazon. And as always, I'll have everything I'm using linked in my Amazon storefront. For each of my tags, I picked out either 1 or 2 of these rub-on transfers, and I'm just going to do them like I would any other, just peel them off of the backing, lay them down onto my tags, and then use a little craft stick to rub these on. I don't know if you can tell really well in this video, but I absolutely love these rub-on transfers. They're probably my favorite that I've ever used because they have a matte finish to them. So it kind of just looks like it's painted onto here. But once I have all of these done, I am going to bring back over my picture frame with my little book page backing, and I'm going to figure out exactly where I want these, and then to place them, I am using a little bit of gel super glue to secure all of these. And once I have all of them glued down, then I will just let that glue dry for about an hour. To finish this off, I did want to add something to the little holes on the tags. So I decided to use some paper brads that I had. These are like a brassy bronze color. And to put these in the hole, I needed to clip off that end piece a little bit. But once I did that, I just used a little bit of gel super glue in all the holes.